And we are live. Welcome, everyone. I am Rebbetzin Bat-Chen Grossman from ConnectedForReal.com. And this is Sheryl Puterman. And I am so happy to have you here. And please introduce yourself, and then we'll get right into our topic today, which is all about Corona, how we deal with the stress, how we deal with the traumas that are coming up, and really practical tips. So make sure you stay. Make sure to say hi in the comments and ask your questions. Definitely. Anyway, so Sheryl, tell us about yourself.
So thank you so much, Rebbetzin Bat-Chen, for having me on your show this evening. Hello, everybody. I'm so pleased to be here with you this evening. I am the founder, the CEO of Nourishment Vitality. We are a 360 platform for stress, for fatigue, and for holistic weight management. I'm an expert in stress relief management, in conscious relationships, and in nutritional psychology. And I'm also the WWCA chapter leader for Israel. That's the World Women Conference and Awards chapter leader for Israel. And I'm truly honored and privileged to be here this evening with all of you here, all of you that are on the live, all of you that will listen to the replay, and with you, Rebbetzin. Thank you for having me again.
Oh, thank you so much. So Sheryl and I were talking, and we decided to take this live because we had a really great conversation about Corona and Corona times, the pandemic, and the effects that it's having on everyone. Now, everybody has lost something. So either you lost a loved one, like Sheryl. I know you lost your father recently because of Corona, right?
I did. I lost my father on December 5th, will be 5 months ago, to COVID. And so I have personal experience with loss in that way. And
it's so painful and so hard, especially because it's so different than usual. You know, there's no ability to fly and be there or sit shiva correctly. Like, it just feels all wrong. But besides the loss of lives and other, real things, we have the loss of being able to be free or social, or, all these different things that people lost. Some people lost their jobs. Some people lost their ability to do what they're used to. There's all this, movement and shake up of the world. It just feels like we're not really grounded, and it feels like we need help, very practical help, which is why we're here, because we're all very practical. How do we get back there, to that place where we were calm and things were flowing, and it was like life was life, but it wasn't like now. Now is a little bit more complicated, things are coming up.
It sure is a very complicated and a very complex time, and a difficult time, a challenging time that we're all going through here on planet Earth at the moment. The world, with this unprecedented global uncertainty that we face, has affected so many of us in so many different ways. Now, yes, my heart is with all of us, those that have experienced loss or those that are experiencing challenges in some ways. I know that globally on the rise, statistics are heartbreaking. We have mental health issues on the rise. We have domestic violence issues on the rise. This is a very, very hard time that we're all going through. Not everybody's home, Rebbetzin, is a safe place. And so being confined in a space together sometimes poses additional stress on someone. And I can say that with certainty that those that have pre-existing trauma during this time of the pandemic, their trauma and their stress is extremely heightened during this time. And for a lot of people, they are triggered or re-triggered into unhealthy habits and behaviors because of the sudden change that was kind of forced upon all of us. Right. Yet even within this very challenging time, because at the end of the day, uncertainty is not a new concept for us as human beings. Uncertainty is part of life. It's no business would have ever succeeded if they didn't accept some level of uncertainty to take risks. We face uncertainty every single time, but our level of fear around this topic has escalated tremendously during the time of the pandemic. And so how does one actually navigate their way back to their inner compass, to their place of peace and calm, back to their center, to their heart center, this place that exists within each and every single human being, this untouched, unscathed presence within us all? How do we get back there? That's the question that now becomes very relevant. How do we get back to this calm?
I just want to say, you know, it's so, every family has their own things that are happening within closed doors, and there are a lot of really unstable, and you know, things have really been shaken up. But even for families and homes that are really stable on the, you know, everyday level, or you think, oh, I have the best marriage in the world, and then it shakes up. There's even the best houses, you know, you're all normal, everybody is having issues, everybody is feeling claustrophobic and trying to find themselves and figuring out new things, and you know, overwhelmed. It's normal. So don't feel like just because you're having issues that something is wrong with you, and don't feel like it, you know, it must be that I had some, you know, pre-existing things or something. It's happening to everyone. The entire world, every single good home is going through a shakeup. And
100%, 100%. Our emotions are all over the show right now. So if I often tell people, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at emotionally today? 1 being chilled, full of vitality, full of energy. 10 being that your emotions are through the roof and your stress levels are very high. Now, today, you may be at a 3, and tomorrow you may find that you're at an 8. Our emotions are all over the show right now. And as you said, there's nothing wrong with that.
Hour. You're saying from day to day. I see it from hour to hour, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Our emotions change. And like you say, even from hour to hour, our emotions change. And so at the end of the day, it's important to simply what I say, okay, how do we get back to our inner calm? How do we do this? It's by validating our emotions, not by judging them, not by making them good or bad, but by simply noticing what it is that we're feeling at any given point in time in our life, in our day, or in our hour, no matter what it is. So when I say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm speaking about by the end of the day, more or less, where would you say you were at on the whole during the day? However, I always say, how do we deal with that? Well, the first step is always with awareness, self-awareness. And how do we handle our stress levels? Don't ignore it. Don't gloss over it. Don't suppress it, because so often, and I know as women, as caregivers, we tend to give to everybody else and suppress the way that we're feeling. So don't suppress it, but rather lean into your stress or your emotion, acknowledge it.
This thing.
It's scary. So that's why, how do we lean in? Lean in with consciousness, kindness, and very important, compassion towards the way that you're feeling. Because the minute you bring kindness and compassion into your practices, and I teach a kind mindfulness to my clients and through my programs, the moment that you're bringing kindness in, it gives you courage to face the things that you don't necessarily want to look at. And secondly, the stress levels start to loosen up a little bit. And it also gives the body, when you become more conscious and you slow down just that little bit, it gives the body a chance to heal from the symptoms of that stress. So the first step is always to become aware and to validate. When our kids are crying, when a baby's crying, what happens to the baby when you hold the baby and they cry? We don't tell the baby, you're wrong for crying. We hold the baby, we see the baby, we soothe the baby. We all, at the end of the day, want to be seen, want to be heard, want to be validated. And we need to, at some stage, by self-awareness, validate our own emotions and do it with kindness and compassion. Always be kind. And kindness starts with yourself, and we extend it from there outwards.
You know, a lot of times sorry, there's noise. what what happens is that we're kind to everyone else, and then in our own heads we are so mean, so terrible. We talk badly, terribly, like, you know, there is no way in the world that you would speak like that to any of your friends, but you speak to yourself like that, and it's really something that we need to notice. I'm gonna have to shut that phone. Okay, go ahead, do it, talk. We'll have to just.
So the way I see it, Rebbetzin, is that yes, we do need to notice. We do need to be extremely kind to ourselves. It's really important. And I always believe that our primary relationship in life, it begins with ourselves first. So we need to get to know ourselves first. And yes, we are our harshest critics. We are our greatest critics. We are often, and I see this a lot. I work with people with their body image, and I see this a lot. We are always judging ourselves. We didn't speak. We didn't speak well enough. We aren't good enough. We aren't this. We aren't that. And we are our harshest critics. So we need to ask ourselves, well, would you say that to your friend? Would you say that to your loved one? And if the answer is no, then don't speak to yourself like that. Don't speak to yourself like that. So always lean in with conscious curiosity. Oh, why am I feeling that way? And that compassion, to bring a tremendous amount of compassion into your practices, because that is going to enable you to step out of that place and into a better space within yourself and within your own nurturing and safe space within yourself.
Yeah. For me, it's been hard with the kids and Zoom and everything, all the Zoom school and being on top of everything. And of course, I'm not on top of everything. So there is like, I just feel like I'm juggling all these balls. So I took a stand and said, I'm not taking care of the school Zoom things. If you want to go on Zoom. If you don't want, that's fine. I'm going to fight you. I had to let go because I was just so overwhelmed and stressed by the teachers calling me, hey, your daughter didn't come today. What am I supposed to do? I felt so helpless. And once I let go and I said, it's not my responsibility. If you want to go. If you don't want to go, that's your problem. You still have to do the work. There was such a calmness, and then the thing that's keeping me sane during this time is just thinking that one day I'm going to look back and talk about it in the past. I'm going to tell stories about, remember when we were in Corona time? Remember when? And it's going to be like, we're over it. There is life after the pandemic. It's not going to be like this forever. Because I think the thing that really puts me and, I see also my clients, just the thought of thinking this is going to last forever, like get used to it because this is how life is from now on for the rest of our lives, is so stressful. It feels like you're suffocating in this, like, no way, don't tell me, it's too much. But if you just believe that it's temporary and we're going to get through it, and then, that's going to show us how resilient we are. We survived and we're on the other side. And now we're looking back and we're saying, wow, I learned so much. I couldn't have gotten to this point if I didn't go through there. There's so much that we're going to be able to take out of this experience. But that resilience is really what's keeping me whole, because I think that if I was just thinking of, this is going to be forever, I can't stand this anymore, this is too much for me, then it's so consuming.
It absolutely is. And it's a lot to consume. And we are most certainly living through this period in history. And you mentioned something that is so important, that if you just keep believing that this isn't forever, and you remind yourself of that constantly, that's what gives the strength. One thing that I've learned, I've been through a lot of life adversity, and what I've learned through my life adversity is the one thing that truly helps is faith. when our faith is strong, we are able to go through what we're going through while still being connected to ourselves, to who we are, and by remaining more grounded in life. So to keep one's faith strong, because when one's faith is shaken, your life is shaken. So to remind oneself over and over again and to keep one's faith strong truly helps. And another thing that helps, I believe, is to, again, always beginning with self-awareness, but to watch our focus, to focus more on our blessings and less on our lack, actually creates that space within us, within our hearts, where we can actually fill that space within our hearts with love for, firstly, also ourselves, love and appreciation for our health, for our body, love and appreciation for our family, for our friends, for our communities. And another thing that really helps is that to give. And how do we give during this time? Because I know, and I'm sure you know too, that when we truly give from our heart, we get for our heart. So some sort of service, reaching out and helping somebody else, is going to uplift your mood tremendously so, and help you to get through a very difficult time. And yes, I'm so glad that you relaxed about the kids as well, because one day when they look back on this period of time as well, we don't want our children to remember it as such a stressful time at home. So if we can help our kids move through this time easier, because the stress that we carry as adults definitely passes on to the kids in many ways. So we need to be able to notice that, and we don't have to pretend to be heroes and to make everything okay as well, but to have those conversations with our kids as well, to share with them, age appropriate as well, and to be able to give them tools to cope, because they're also seeing a lot, they're absorbing a lot, and it can be scary for them as well. So we need to explain to them the way we're feeling, the way things are happening outside, and explain to them as well that this isn't a forever situation.
Right. I think that one of the best tools that I ever got as a young mother was somebody told me I need to model for them by speaking about what's going on in my head. So you guys don't even know. I didn't feel like doing, the dishes, and I went and I did it. I'm so proud of myself because I overcame something that I didn't want to do. And so, like, you would think, okay, you're just having a conversation with yourself, but you're really just teaching them what is going on in your head, and that everybody is struggling with not wanting to do the things they need to do, and it's okay. And you overcame it, and you gave yourself a pat on the back and you say, yay, I did it. So the more you can do that, teach them how to choose the right thoughts and how to let go of the thoughts that are not serving you. I think that is that's real modeling, because nobody else is teaching anybody what to think, what to do with all that noise in your head. It's so scary, especially as a kid or as, a teenager. You're having all these thoughts and you don't know what's true, what's not true. You pretty much are taught that all your thoughts must be facts. So if I think that I'm fat, then I guess I'm fat. And if I think that I'm ugly, then I guess I'm ugly. And so you take it as fact. But in reality, I saw myself in the mirror. I thought, oh, wait, okay, wait, I can decide something else. I'm going to focus on this. So you're modeling by speaking your thoughts, really what's going on. And when you were talking, you reminded me of a story. But yeah, go ahead and say what you wanted to say.
That it is so important, Rebbetzin, to model to our kids a healthy way of communicating and to encourage them autonomy in the way that they think, in the way that they feel. The same as we judge ourselves, we're sometimes pretty harsh to judge our kids for thinking a thought of, don't say that. How can you say that? That's good, that's bad, that's this, that's that. Right. And we correct them without allowing them to express themselves. So by allowing our children to actually express themselves, and by sitting down and allowing each person in the home to have autonomy, where that means every person in the home gets to speak their thoughts and gets to verbalize what it is that they're thinking as well. And then we have a healthy discussion around that. And I think that helps the entire family to communicate in a healthy way as well.
Yeah, so you were reminding me a couple of things. So yesterday, my daughter said they're having tests now, and the tests really count because now she's in 9th grade. And so, of course, she did all of 6 days in real life of 9th grade, where she went in for half a day in small groups in the beginning of the year. And then they went, there was that lockdown, everybody go home, and she's been Zoom schooling. So it's been really hard for her, the transition from elementary school to high school, and not knowing most of the girls in the class. And on top of that, having to go to school on the phone, something that she never had a phone until now. So she's in bed in her pajamas on the phone until 1:30, 2 o'clock, when she finally has to go. And so it's messing with everything, the hormones and the food and just the ability to have a schedule and a routine. It's one of the worst things you could do to a teenager, But I was thinking about it, and I told my mother, I said, I actually remember myself as a 9th grader, and I don't think I did too much more than what she's doing. I didn't really listen to all the classes or go to all the things, and I wanted to stay home and I wasn't in the mood. And probably half of 9th grade, I really sort of just like, whatever. And then my mother said, and look what happened. You're still okay. You worked out fine. So it's just sometimes putting into perspective, like, it is difficult. It's, but it's not the end of the world. It's not going to break her just because there's, 6 months of her life or even a year, 9th grade, that she's going to be a little bit wobbly. I also have a 2nd grader who can barely read because, school. Thank God she can read, but it's just so strange that, the times that we're in, it throws you out of alignment.
Throws one very much out of alignment. And I'm quite amazed, surprised at the amount of hours that kids are expected to actually show up on the Zoom. I mean, as adults, we struggle with Zoom fatigue, and the kids are going through it too. Right. And they're expected to concentrate, and they're expected to turn in good assignments. And it's extremely challenging for the children.
Yeah, one of the things I realized is how, after she gets off the Zoom, then she has to do homework. I'm like, forget it. I wouldn't want to do that, I just want to close the computer and start jumping jacks or walk outside and see the sun. Like,
Well, that's so important what you said, because we are not, as human beings, designed to spend so much time in front of a computer. It's not healthy for our body, and it's not healthy for our mind. So it's really important, firstly, to ergonomically see how the computer is positioned, how we're sitting, and, that we're not leaning too forward, too back, etc. So that's number one. And number two is to take those necessary breaks, or those breaks when you can, to stretch the body, to move the body, to walk around the apartment. If you have the luxury of having an outside area, to go outside a bit, to breathe in that fresh air. It's so important. It helps at the end of the day with one's concentration levels, and to also have some healthy snacks ready on hand, because being at home, one does turn to food more a lot of the times out of habit. So if you have enough healthy snacks that are prepared, you put in that time a bit for the meal prep, to remind oneself to actually fuel well, to feel well, because you need that additional energy. Whilst you are learning, you actually need that additional energy to help your brain to function well as well. So instead of just having too many treats around the house all the time, to really pack the fridge where you can with healthy fruits and vegetables, and as I say, grab a healthy snack. Make sure you're taking the time to sit down for meals, at least your 3 main meals a day. Don't eat on the go. Don't eat while you're in front of the computer. Don't eat while you're multitasking. When you're eating, bring all of yourself to the table and eat. And it's what's really helpful during this time to create a healthy and a happy culture of wellness in the home is actually to make a meal of it at mealtime. In other words, where it's possible, sometimes it's not possible, but where it's possible, to sit down with some of your family members and to actually eat together, to turn off your computer for the period of time, or to choose not to take your phone calls during that time that you're sitting down and eating with your family, because bring pleasure into the whole eating component as well of the meals that we're taking in. That's going to help you, and it's going to also help that connection, that extra connection that we need right now during this time. So it's important to establish that routine with the family as well. And the times that you do land up overdoing it, give yourself a break as well. As I say, this is a hard and challenging time that we're going through, and a lot of people are triggered or re-triggered to unhealthy habits and behaviors. But notice it, become aware of it, so that you can get ahead of the habit or the behavior before the habit and behavior gets ahead of you.
Right. Sometimes, just being okay with having that cookie, or getting over that hard day, saying we'll start again tomorrow, is better than fighting and pushing it down and trying to, not let it out and then exploding. So it's really...
Well, interestingly enough, when you're trying to restrict oneself too much, don't have that, but it puts a stress on oneself. Right. So yes, 100%, give yourself permission to have that cookie. Give yourself permission to feel what it is that you're feeling. There's no right or wrong way to feel. You feel what you feel. So if your moods are going up and down and this and that and everything, just give yourself permission to, if you're uncomfortable, if you're moody, if you're angry, give yourself permission to be in that space, but do become aware of it, because becoming aware of it, again, is that very important first step. It brings choice into the matter, because then you can choose how you're going to transform that experience in a way that can work positively for you.
Okay, great. So now I want to bring this into marriage, and I also see that we have some viewers. So if you have any questions, make sure you comment below. You could just say hi. You can say, what you're thinking about, what's going on in your life, or you could just ask a question. How do you, by the way, if you're on the replay, you can do #replay and ask your question. We'll get to it and we'll make sure to answer it. How do you see this, affecting marriage? Because I see, obviously I am a marriage coach, so I am working with women to improve their marriage, and it's, it's a hard time. If people are really it's not easy to be stuck together alone, or, or the husband is, hi, Yafa. Oh, that's so fun. She likes the forum, so I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for commenting. Some people are stuck in the house with their husband. Some people, their husband is working all day long, and, maybe he's a doctor, he's not home ever, and they're stuck alone with the kids. Some people are just feeling really alone, even if the husband's home, which is normal. What do you say, what is something practical that they can take and use and really focus on?
Well, I think that at the end of the day, it's really, again, coming back to the topic of being aware of your stress levels, and starting with yourself first, taking care of yourself first, because if your stress levels are building up, and we are often unaware, by the way, of our stress triggers and things that are stressing us out during the day that are building up like these stacking blocks. And if we don't take care of ourselves and make some time for ourselves to nurture and take care of our own needs, this is naturally going to spill out in the way that we relate with our family, with our friends, with our loved ones. So it also comes down to, and then conflict arises. So it comes down to having those conversations and communicating, healthy communication before conflict arises, or learning how to communicate healthily during conflict. And I think practically where it starts, Rebbetzin, is it starts with really knowing your needs. Starts with you, and you need to know your needs first, because when you know your needs first, then you can communicate to your partner, to your friend, to your loved one, what it is that you need, and at the same time you can hear what it is that they need. And then it comes into bringing that level of respect where you can both listen to each other's needs, and that's a really good starting point. But often what happens when our stress levels are a little bit too much, we actually don't even know what we want. We don't even know what we need. And we just blow up and we say things that we regret, and it comes out in anger. So truly, whoever's listening here, take that time. Take that time for yourself, whether it's 15 minutes of your day, and figure out a way, establish a routine for yourself, a ritual, if you like, where you can release some of your tension and become really clear and focused on how it is that you choose to nourish yourself. And nourishment is more than what we eat. Nourishment is how we feed ourselves on an emotional, on a physical, and on a spiritual level. So figure out what it is that nourishes you. What is it that nourishes you? Do more of those things. Make a list. If walking around the block helps you to feel great, how often are you doing that? Once a month? Once a week? Can you do it more? Can you bring that into your practices? When you wake up in the morning, when you wash your face with your cleanser, or you put on your moisturizer, are you just doing it really quickly? Can you slow down a bit? Can you actually nurture yourself for an extra minute or two whilst you're actually taking care of your own needs? Put on your moisturizer with some care. Take care of yourself. Sip your cup of tea. Have your breakfast. Give yourself that little bit of time, and naturally, I can tell you, the way you relate to your partner is going to be more peaceful. That's a start. And then get real. If there's a real conflict going on, take pen to paper. List down, what are my needs? What are my desires in our relationship? So that it starts with you. You become crystal clear. And that's a really good starting point, to have that dialogue and for things to roll on from there. Does that make sense?
Yes. So the first thing you said that really, the first thing that came up for me is that a lot of times I don't notice that I'm going off the wrong end until it's too late, because I'm just trying to, do things and this and that. And then there's like one thing that went wrong, and then one other thing and another thing, and they start piling up. And so if I'm not aware of it and I'm not catching it, I'm really going to find myself suddenly being like, why am I so exhausted? Or what's going on? Why am I so irritable? And so just that awareness is really helpful. Something that I did for myself in the beginning of Corona that really helped me, I went on Notion, which is an app that I use for organizing my stuff. And I made a list of all the self-care things that I could think of that work for me. So not everything that works for everyone else. I'm not looking up any Google documents that say like, these are the top 10 things that work for every woman. I don't care. I want to find out what works for me. So I need to drink water. So I wrote that down, and take a shower makes me feel better, and going outside and talking to friends. And so I just started listing all these things that don't even cost money, or some do. I wrote down massage and reflexology because like, hey, who cares? Maybe one day. Actually this week I ended up going to reflexology because I made that a priority, to just look at the list and what can I do this week that will help me, prepare myself so that I don't come into this like, on eggshells already, that I'm not shaky. Because if I'm all calm and if I'm investing in my own self-care, and my own health, then I can be of service. And that's what I need, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help everyone and be there for everyone. Of course, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm also a coach, and, sister and a daughter. And there's all these circles of people who need me. If I don't take care of myself, nobody will. And I won't be able to take care of anyone else. So it's
absolutely. And it comes down to what we were saying, that it starts with modeling one's behavior and investing the time, the necessary time, in one's own self-care. At the end of the day, self-care is not selfish. It's very, very needed. Our primary relationship is with ourselves. And then we have so much more to give. We have so much more to share. And at the end of the day, when we're modeling that for our family, they too start to understand the importance of them respecting themselves and taking care of themselves. And that's so important. It's so important to teach our kids that they need to take care of themselves and that they're important and they're VIPs too. So that's truly important. And I think it's wonderful that you booked the appointment for the reflexology. I love reflexology. It's so relaxing. But you also made a really good point, Rebbetzin, when you said that you listed what works for you. There is no one size fits all. There's no techniques and solutions and this and that. It's what works for you. So when you become aware of the things that make you feel good, do more of those. When you become aware of the things that nourish you on a spiritual level, on a psychological, on an emotional level, do more of those. Add more of those things into your day. And if you do it often enough, consistently enough, then it becomes a habit. And then if you do the habit often enough and you start to notice, well, how did the habit make me feel? You know, that really made me feel good. And you start to integrate these healthy habits into your daily life, well, then they can really begin to work for you in a way that counts and in a way that makes sense and in a way that helps you to show up for the majority of the time, because it's never going to be all of the time, but in a way that you show up shining and full of energy and at your best.
And that is the best marriage advice, is taking care of yourself. Because when you're expecting someone else to take care of you, you're never going to fill up. Nobody can fill you up like you can fill you up. And that's one of the biggest mistakes is my husband should know, he should know. Well, guess what? He's not a mind reader. He shouldn't know. It's okay if he doesn't know, but you need to make sure that you are taking care of the things that need to happen for you. Fill yourself up so that you can really be full, because if you're empty, nothing is going to be able to fill you up unless you take care of it. It's your responsibility to fill yourself up. And I say that really strongly, because it is number one medicine that I see for marriage. When your marriage is going wrong, stop looking at the other person and how they are not okay and not good enough and this and that. Of course, it's fine. Even if it's true, I don't care. I want you to just turn around and say, what can I take responsibility for? How can I fill myself up? Not take responsibility of what I'm wrong at. No, the opposite. Turn around and say, how do I fill myself up so that I can be in a better place? So I can think more clearly, so I can just be more relaxed, because that's really the goal. You want to be happy. And you need to take responsibility for that. And actually, I have a guide, 5 surprising ways to improve your marriage. And you can all download it at ConnectedForReal.com/free. And I just thought of that now, so I decided to share that with you. So if you all go to that website, you will get a free 5 surprising ways to improve your marriage PDF.
Well, that's so generous of you, Rebbetzin, and I'll certainly be downloading mine. Thank you for that. Yes. I think that's such super advice. And at the end of the day as well, once we are nurturing ourselves and we can create those healthy boundaries around what is and isn't acceptable, around our negotiables and our non-negotiables in our marriage, and within ourselves and within our relationships, that plays a very important role as well. So absolutely, it starts with you.
Yes, it always starts with us. And the first reaction I always get is like, so why do I need to be the good one? It's not fair that I always have to take responsibility. Why do I need to be the one to do anything or to take action? Why can't I just put my feet up for once and let him do the work? And that's such a common feeling. I used to have it too. It's like, why do I always have to do like the let it slide and the take responsibility for my own happiness and all the good stuff that obviously I had to go through myself, because it takes one to know one, and it takes one to help one. So I went through a lot of, these challenges until I found what works for me. And then I was able to help other people. What do you say to that?
Well, I say that the way I look at the word responsibility, even though it's not actually spelled like this, is able to respond to whatever life experience or whatever challenge you are faced with at any given moment in time. So when you learn to become more responsible, you're able to choose your responses instead of reacting to what it is that's going on around you. And that's certainly going to help in one's relationship and in one's marriage, because instead of lashing out or snapping out, you actually get to choose the way you are going to respond. And the minute you slow down enough and you choose your response, it's much more empowering. It's much more empowering to say, well, I choose this because that. You then get to empower yourself. And the minute you feel empowered, you're going to show up in a different way. Right. And you're not going to feel so, oh, why this and why that, because you're going to feel more empowered.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so we are coming to a close. I want Sheryl to tell everyone.
Wow, it went quickly.
Yes, it went really quickly. We're definitely open to doing this again. It's been so fun. You can find a lot of my previous lives in the archives. And next week we are having a live on Tuesday with Rina Ariel, who is Hallel Yafa Ariel Hashem Yom Damah's mother, and she's going to talk about going up to Har Bayit and all of what's going on with that experience that she had to go through, and her life story is going to be awesome. You guys should totally come. And Sheryl, I want you to tell everyone how they can find you if they want to ask you questions or work with you or find out more about what you're doing.
Wonderful. So whoever can get me on Facebook, Sheryl Puterman, and my Facebook business page is Sheryl Puterman, Nourishment Vitality.
Beautiful. And thank you so much, everyone who came live. Thank you also to those who watched the replay. I know it's really fun. Some of my friends text me afterwards and say what they liked or their favorite part. That's my favorite part, by the way. So if you're watching this and you had something like a little nugget of an idea that really gave you chizuk or made you feel like you were heard, please send me a message, because I love those. They fill me up so much. And please come back on Tuesday, because we are going to have an awesome live. Of course, every week we have amazing lives. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we shall do this again, because it was really fun.
It certainly was. Thank you, Rebbetzin. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.